So, good evening to those who have joined us this evening, who are joining us online. Welcome. So this last few days, we've been remembering Ajahn Chah. It's 30 years since he passed away. So I just thought during the meditation this evening, just to offer a few reflections from Luang Por Chah's meditation teachings. Maybe there are things that are particular, that I particularly sort of related to. So just to begin, just really close your eyes and bring your attention more inward. And as I speak, just allow the words to go in. Don't try to hold on to anything, just allow the words to go in and stay with your meditation theme. Luang Por Chah always said that, what we need to remember, we will. If we allow it to go in, it'll go in there and maybe come out when we need it. So Ajahn Chah never taught a special Ajahn Chah technique. He taught in various ways according to what he felt would be helpful for the person. And, something he was apparently quite skilled at. And maybe this is because, in his own practice, he went through a lot of struggles, went through many challenges and difficulties. But he gained some wisdom because of that. He talks about times when, like tears would come to his eyes of desperation and with things he had to go through. But, he stayed with it and maybe due to that, these experiences, he was able to relate to many of the struggles of his disciples and give them helpful advice. So he didn't teach a particular technique. And, he said that, people have different, different karma and, some things that some people use are not so helpful for others. But, the thing he emphasized, whatever meditation technique you use, is it leading towards letting go, relinquishment? And this is the important thing, not the technique itself, but is it facilitating the letting go of defilements of the mind? Is it bringing the mind to a more quality of balance and more peace? So this, he said, was the important thing. So some people have a more contemplative bent, so maybe some sort of contemplation might be more helpful for them in the meditation. You say keeping the mindfulness on a certain theme, different themes like loving kindness, generosity, or contemplating the body, contemplating death. So if one of these themes, if one had a contemplative bent and one of those themes were appealing, then one could use that as a way of focusing the attention, keeping the mind on a theme, and it would help to calm the mind. But probably the theme of meditation he more regularly taught was the practice of mindfulness of breathing. as because he thought this method was one that many people could use, it would be helpful for people. So he would, teach people firstly to establish a good posture. Now, he didn't go into sort of refined details about the kind of posture, whether it be like full lotus or half lotus, but essentially sitting cross-legged, putting your right hand on your left hand, and just maintaining an upright posture where one can be alert. And that allows the breath to flow naturally. So the breath is something we don't have to do. The breath will just happen naturally, just allowing the breath to flow in its natural way. And on more than one occasion, he taught about watching the breath through the body. So the beginning of the breath is at the nose, the middle of the breath at the chest, when the chest expands, and the end of the breath at the abdomen, sense of the abdomen expanding. So as we breathe in, sweeping out awareness through the body. And then the out-breath beginning at the abdomen, chest, and then out through the nose again. So observing the natural breath at these points. I found this method of meditation very helpful, a sense of having more of an expansive, open, allowing quality of attention rather than something trying to focus on a point can be a bit restrictive and we can get a bit tight. And also like the somatic intelligence that we can tune into when we tune into the body, because the mind affects the body. So we know like in the stomach we feel anxious, we feel something in the stomach, emotions in the heart, maybe some things we feel in the throat. So it can, by being aware of the sensations in the body, it can give us some way of relating to, what's going on in the mind if we're not clear. Sometimes we're not clear because there can be a lot of confusing thoughts. So coming back to the body can be a way of just coming out of the confusing thoughts, just knowing the feeling in the body. So just for a few minutes, just see how this is with you, just allowing the breath to naturally come in. Noticing the breath at the nose, at the chest, the abdomen, just the natural breathing. Call this like breathing with the experience of the present moment. So not trying to get rid of anything, but just to be present with what is. just knowing how the experience of body is manifesting in this present moment. Some people would say to Ajahn Chah, I can't meditate, my mind's all over the place, thinking about this, thinking about that. But, that this is all part of the practice. Why we can't expect the mind just to sort of instantly just stay with the breath and not move around. So he said, the mind can be like a monkey, you know, jumping around, grabbing hold of this, grabbing hold of that, you know, the mind, off into the past, the future, different thought habits. But, you know, his encouragement was, you know, this is still good meditation, just to be aware of what the mind's doing. Learn to understand. He said, understand the way the monkey is. And the problem is, if we don't, you know, if we want the monkey to be still and not grasp hold of things, then we'll suffer. But the more we understand the habits of the monkey, then we can be a bit more peaceful with these habits. This is just the way the mind is. So all different kinds of thoughts will come, so we might label them as good thoughts or bad thoughts, good moods, bad moods, pleasant things, unpleasant things. But, you know, he encourages us to learn for whatever comes up, learn to understand it. And, you know, understanding is the way to peace, you know. Trying to get rid of, trying to avoid is not really understanding. So we will never really, you know, find peace with these things. And, you know, and peace is what facilitates our ability to let go of things. When we understand things more clearly. So this is how we can use like the breath and the body, just something to anchor us more in the present moment so we don't get lost in the different thought habits. You know, we're aware of them, but we're taking the position of the one who knows. So this is what Ajahn Chah emphasized, like just being with the knowing, know these things, understand them. And it's, you know, in this way we can find peace with them. When we understand the monkey, he doesn't trouble us anymore. But he said if we don't understand the monkey, then we can become the monkey. So, you know, whatever's coming up, you know, observing just these movements of the mind. So he said it's going to be like the weather, you know, some days are sunny, some days are dark clouds. When there's dark clouds, then rain comes down. So it get a dark mood in the mind, and thoughts come from that, don't it? You know, if we have a negative mood, then negative thoughts will come about, you know, maybe critical thoughts about ourselves or others. But again, that's something we can know. There's negativity in the mind at the moment, and this is the sort of thoughts that come from a negative mind state. It's just that. Then when that cloud blows over, there's a bit more clarity, you know, we feel a bit more goodwill, then, you know, then more nice thoughts come. know that too. So just knowing the mind in the present moment. Watching these sort of seasons of the mind from this point of knowing and awareness. on some occasions, Ajahn Chah would teach about using the mantra Bhutto. This mantra Bhutto means the one who's awake. And we can use this in conjunction with the breath, like breathing in with the word Bud, breathing out with the word Do, Bhutto. So the actual word itself is pointing us towards this quality of being awake and aware. And it can replace all the tendency in the mind to think about this and think about that. It's like the Buddha said, using a small peg to knock out a big peg out of a hole. Another like mantra that Ajahn Chah taught was this mantra like of not sure. And to use this also in meditation, like when the mind running off, anxious about the future, worried, but it's uncertain, unsure. So when these sort of thoughts come, just to say, not sure, or perceptions about certain things, not sure. So this just helps to bring our mind more back into the present moment. Because, I think we realize not all our perceptions are correct. We can easily, especially when there's like a defilement in the mind, the perceptions are coloured. So sometimes just responding to these thoughts with this one thought, not sure, can take the power out of these thoughts, bring us back to the present moment. Ajahn Chah was once asked what qualities most supported him in his practice. And the first one was patience. Of course, like I said before, he had to bear with many difficulties and challenges. So this does require, great patience to bear with these challenges. And the second quality was to bring into mind the perception of impermanence. Now, we all, on a level of theory, we all know everything is impermanent. All these mind states we experience are impermanent. But, it's a question of really bringing this theory onto a deeper level. If we really have brought the teaching of impermanence onto a deeper level, then the mind will be more peaceful with the changing conditions. Because the heart, when we bring this from the head to the heart knows these things don't last. And the results of that is a more, peaceful way of being with things, because we've brought those teachings from the head down to the heart, to the knowing. So, reflecting on impermanence is a way of facilitating, bringing this teaching, not just as a theory, but really knowing it in the heart. And when it's known in the heart, then the heart is much more peaceful with these changing conditions. So Ajahn Chah encourages us to keep cultivating our mindfulness and wisdom to the point where, our moods and things don't take us over. So the analogy I like is, is like there's this room with one chair in it, and if you stay in that one chair, then whatever comes into the room, whoever comes in, they won't stay long because there's nowhere for them to sit. So I'm thinking people just come in and go out. So this is, if we cultivate our mindfulness and wisdom, then, whatever comes into the mind, we don't go out and get preoccupied with it. We see it for what it is. We stay in the one chair, sat in the one chair. Don't go out to get involved. And then the visitors don't stay. So then, and the quality of the heart, we have a spacious heart. Nothing sticks in the heart. And, Ajahn Chah would talk about realizing just the natural mind. That's more fundamental to the mind, this sense of bright awareness, where, defilements have been let go of. There's no defilements in the room. So this is, the freedom and the end of suffering that the Buddha taught. And something we can all, realize for ourselves. So the practice and the cultivation is not always easy. Like I said, it wasn't always easy for Ajahn Chah. And he did always say that, no, all meditation is good. If it's been difficult to meditate, it's still okay. We've learned something. We've enjoyed something. We've observed it to some extent. So all meditation is good, whether the experience was pleasant or unpleasant. Whether the mind was calm or agitated. So those who joined us online tonight, pleased to have you with us, and we'll now just finish by paying respects to the Triple Gem.